Since Bob White first told me the amazing story of how he'd found the strange metal object, I'd been repeatedly surprised by new revelations. The fact that the US government apparently possessed a similar metal object classified as alien kept coming back to me. Did someone already have the answers I was looking for? Our object was going to be subjected to an electron microscope scan and other tests that would reveal what it was made from. I hoped that these tests would also tell us something more about where it had come from, and importantly, if it was just a hunk of metal or a complex piece of alien technology. Later that morning at the State University, Mr. White and his whole team arrived for the test on the mystery object. It was time to go to work. Inside the lab, Professor Fandrich and his colleague, Professor Duget, prepared the sample for examination under an electron microscope. It was capable of giving very detailed 3D images of the structure of the object, magnified up to 100,000 times. The sample would also undergo EDS, a technique that uses X-rays to reveal its main elements.
The peaks that we'll see will tell us the primary elements that we can find, the major elements, not the trace elements necessarily.
Would each of these lines on the graph represent a different element?
If the element was there, yes. When it makes a peak, like you see that tall green peak to the left,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's probably your aluminum.
Yes, that's aluminum.
Okay. And I see another peak.
Aluminum, and then there's a small little peak right here, looks like silica.
Right, and it looks like iron's coming up maybe.
Iron.
Magnesium might be coming up. Manganese is also in that general area. Titanium, I know there's some titanium, but maybe not enough for the EDS to locate it.
We have a little bit of nickel here.
Well, that's interesting. Nickel iron, when you find anything that's just pure nickel iron, it's probably an asteroid related object. Right. Pure nickel iron. Like a lot of the iron meteorites that we find are nickel iron. Sodium, K and KK.
Looking at this is a very clean spectrum. This is going to be aluminum with traces of magnesium and or manganese and iron.
Now, some of the rocks we have from space that we know are extraterrestrial have almost exactly the same chemistry as we find on Earth.
Okay.
Really?
Well, you have to realize the Earth is in space too.
Yeah, of course. We forget that so easily, don't we? So what do these melt tracks tell us?
That the aluminum had been mobilized, heated to a minimum of about 575 degrees centigrade, and that it was in an airstream. It wasn't in a vacuum, it had to be an airstream, and the airstream was moving or transporting or forcing the liquid aluminum to move toward the tail.
Can you think of an example of something that might be manufactured that would use all those elements?
Yeah, this alloy is what's called a 360 aluminum alloy, which is actually a fairly common alloy because it's very strong. It's easily molded into parts. It's a preferred alloy.
So it'd be used for making component parts of what?
Of an engine or a casting for maybe a handrail. I mean, just almost anything that you could imagine that you might use aluminum for. My favorite scenario right now is that it's a manufactured object. It was a piece of something that was either explosively or some other way introduced into our atmosphere at extremely high speeds. The introduction in the atmosphere could have been at 2 miles.
Right.
It could have been from space. I just know that it was seriously damaged by heat friction in an atmosphere.
Right.
Probably this atmosphere.
The tests revealed something very important. This was not a natural object from something like a meteorite. It had been manufactured, though we still did not know where or by who. That was one fact that might one day lead to understanding what Bob saw in the desert.
I've lived my life honestly, and never have I ever been called a liar until this happened to me. People do judge you. If it hasn't happened to them, it hasn't happened. I'm the only one in the world that has any inkling of an idea of what it is.
What do you think it is?
In my mind, in my heart, I'm sure it's from another planet.
During this investigation, I've come across some compelling evidence for which it's hard to find a straightforward explanation. But I'm lucky to have been investigating this subject now. Advances in science mean that I've been able to discover far more than I would have found out, say, 10 years ago. It's impossible to prove conclusively whether aliens have or haven't visited our planet. However, I do believe that thanks to work begun now by scientists, we will one day soon understand the truth about what's happening on our planet.